Now, one thing that Jon Favreau keeps on pressing on the fans and really revealing to the fandom is that there's going to be a lot of stories that will be told about the Mandalorian and the Jedi and the ultimate connection between the two, and even new secrets about the darksaber that will arise throughout this season and, of course, for Season 4, as well as other incoming Star Wars shows on top of that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, Jon Favreau has been teasing and hinting a lot of things for the future of the franchise. Everything related to The Mandalorian, to the Ahsoka series, to Star Wars other shows coming out that will be announced at Celebration this year. There's a lot of great things on the horizon, and we know that Favreau has been writing Mando Season 4 endlessly as we speak. Even right now, he's making some revisions to the script and making sure that everything stays in line. However, recently Jon Favreau actually slipped in a big spoiler for either Mando Season 4 or another Star Wars TV show. We're not just quite sure, but he unveiled something very big related to the Mandalorian, the Jedi, and other aspects of the Force and more, and exactly what's in store for the Mandoverse at large. So if you guys do not want to hear anything further, I suggest that you guys back out of this right now, but anyways, without further ado, let's get right into this. Now, the thing about Favreau is that he, as of right now, is really invested in Legends as being the main source of material that they are using right now to develop many new Star Wars TV shows for the years to come, along with films as well that are currently in the works. Now, in a recent interview that Favreau got involved in, he went on to actually talk more about the future of the Mandoverse. When he was recently questioned about the characters of Luke Skywalker and Din Djarin, Favreau went on to tease a couple of things that led to a spoiler for either Season 4 or a new spin-off series. Favreau stated the following to the fans: "What I want to tell fans is that the darksaber has more secrets to it than everyone knows. Yet we established that Tar Vizsla was the first Mandalorian Jedi that created this weapon, but now that is in the hands of Din. Where does he get guidance to use such a weapon that was once wielded by a Mandalorian Jedi, you may ask? So, the Force has this connection with it, you see, and for one that holds Force abilities is going to be able to use the darksaber properly." I want to stop right here for a second. So, Favreau basically stating here that the darksaber, to be used correctly, is somebody that uses the Force as well. Now, this may be changing a couple pieces of lore here and there, but what's really inspiring to me is how Jon Favreau is taking it as Tar Vizsla as the perfected type of wielder to actually use the darksaber properly, because he was not only trained through the ways of the Force, but he was also a Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian Jedi, a modern version of Tar Vizsla, Jon Favreau is basically saying and telling fans that this is going to happen in the Mandoverse, and he's even alluding to the fact that it's going to be Din Djarin. This does match directly up with some of the concept art and the storyboard leaks that we went over about 6 months ago, guys, in case you guys missed it. We talked about this, of how there was a storyboard piece that involved Luke Skywalker wielding the darksaber and telling Din Djarin how to use or tap into the Force. This would suggest that Din Djarin is Force sensitive to some degree, maybe not very, in tune with the Force, but has some kind of Force sensitivity that's going to allow him to use the darksaber properly. Now, on to the next thing that Favreau goes on to elaborate. He goes on to say this: "It would take a Jedi Master to teach somebody on how to use the darksaber the right way in this new story that we are telling, and perhaps this does apply to Din needing a teacher to learn about the weapon and how Tar Vizsla was able to handle such a mighty piece of Mandalorian Jedi lore." So, that's another interesting thing that he points out here, dropping the Luke Skywalker name and how Din may need a teacher. Again, Jon Favreau is kind of pointing it out here that Din may very well be Force sensitive, and to use the darksaber properly, he needs a teacher. That's basically what he just said. Now, I'm not quite sure if he accidentally slipped this up or if he's kind of just making some teases here and there, but this is big. This is big stuff, and it does match directly up with the Mando Season 4 leaks that we talked about 6 months ago, that involves a lot of storyboards and concept art descriptions that we talked about, and how a lot of it had to do with Luke going to Mandalore and teaching Din Djarin the ways of the Force using the dark saber. Something that fans may not like. You know, some fans don't necessarily view Din as a Force-sensitive individual just yet, and may not like that idea, but that's where Jon and Dave are reportedly going for Mando Season 4, to not only evolve him as a character, but also his connection with Grogu. And that's going to be even all the more interesting, because when these characters, or if these characters get separated again, like Grogu and Din, they can then have a connection. They can feel exactly what's going on with each other across the galaxy. You know, that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. So, on to the next thing. He goes on to actually conclude, these are the things that we are going to explore deeper into the Mandalorian story and its surrounding side stories that we also have planned in the works for the entire fandom. The Force is between all of this and the characters that we are focusing on that evolve the dark saber. This is our big plan right now, to dive more into Mandalorian and Jedi lore to honor legends and beyond. Now, again, what I like about this is that Jon Favreau is putting it out there that Legends is the true inspiration about all of this, and how it's also going to go beyond Legends, basically confirming that it's also going to utilize original storytelling and original lore that we have never seen before in Star Wars. So, the fact that Din Djarin, alright, is going to be Force sensitive, because like I said before, we talked about this, of how the storyboards for Mando Season 4 involves him having a very brief, and I'm talking about a very brief, training session with Luke on Mandalore, and basically Luke holding the darksaber and examining it in awe and shock and awe, basically. You know, that to me is going to be, I think, one of the most jaw-dropping moments in the Mandoverse. And the fact that they're building up to that very slowly, you know, just goes to show you that Jon Favreau is all about kind of combining the lore of the Mandalorian and the Jedi together. And that's exactly why he brought Luke into the Book of Boba Fett. That's exactly why he's bringing Luke back into Mando Season 4. Now we can see how it's all fitting together. That there is a reason why Jedi are becoming somewhat of a focus in a show called The Mandalorian. Because they're focusing on the ways of Tara Vizsla again, and the modern version of that character. You know, so there's a lot of great things coming out of this. I think that Jon Favreau may have not meant to say such revealing things about this, but take it as you will, it does match up with what we talked about 6 months ago. And I'm very much excited to see exactly what Jon Favreau has in store for Star Wars Ahsoka with Dave Filoni, and how that's gonna really, you know, enhance things even further. So, again, I think that they're on the right path here to really utilizing lore and, you know, relics properly that are related to the Mandalorian and the Jedi. Stuff like that is really fun. So anyways, guys, you know, fill me in below in the comments what you guys have to say about all of this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.